Hello, and welcome to the Connecting Point. I am Dr. Marcy, your facilitator for this discussion today. This is the place where creators connect to inspire, share their ideas and stories to transform the world through raw and unedited talk. And today, audience, I am here with the bright part of our future. Yes, Mr. Jordan Freeman. I had the privilege of being an instructor this semester at Spelman, and I had the awesome double privilege of having some Morehouse students in the class as well. And Jordan is one of those Morehouse leaders. Jordan, welcome to the Connecting Point.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Jordan, can you tell the audience a little bit about where you're from and where you are now?
So I'm originally from Cartersville, Georgia. It's about an hour-ish, like northwest of Atlanta. But now, of course, I'm at Morehouse. I'm in my junior year. I'm studying early childhood education, and I love everything HBCUs, everything Atlanta, even though Atlanta gets a kind of bad rep sometimes. I love Atlanta. But yeah, that's where I am right now.
Okay. Well, audience, I want to share a little bit about why we're here today. We're here, first of all, to shout out the type of education that our students get at HBCUs. And we're also here to talk about the importance of seeing some of these students who are at HBCUs develop the skills needed to go into the classroom to teach our children. And so Jordan has been just a bright sunshine in class, and he does all his work, yes, with excellence. And I said, this would be a good thing to do today. So Jordan, first of all, tell me a little bit about what is it like to even be a student at an HBCU?
Honestly, I feel like being at a HBCU to me is very similar to being at home. When I think of home, I think of laughter. I think of us connecting. I think of certain inside things that only we might necessarily understand. And so when you go to an HBCU, you experience that type of connection and you experience a range of diversity, just like how at home with your family members, there's all types of different types of people. There's still the same thing even at HBCUs. And being at an HBCU, like I said, to me, it really feels like home, and it feels like my identity, all of my identities are valued. And it feels like I'm in a classroom or I'm talking with professors who actually care about me and who actually see me as a cultural being and see my learning connected to my culture.
I love that. Now, you are in particularly at a renowned HBCU, Morehouse. What is that like? Because, I know it is unique.
Yeah.
What's that like being a student there at Morehouse
Mhm.
as opposed to, maybe other HBCUs?
Morehouse is really, really strong on that brotherhood, on those values. Being at Morehouse, to me, I didn't necessarily grow up with a lot of like male figures in my life. And so when I came to Morehouse, it was something completely new. And it was something I realized that I was searching for. I knew I wanted to go to Morehouse and I knew that I wanted to, be around excellence, but I wasn't necessarily sure it wasn't clear to me that that piece that I needed to be around more positive male figures. And so when I came, I found this brotherhood, this connectivity that I absolutely enjoyed. It's a lot of like you are expected to be excellent. And the reason why you're expected to be excellent is because the idea is the reason that you're here at Morehouse or other top HBCUs or really any HBCU is that there's already excellence inside of you. So
Yes.
I feel like that brotherhood is really, really strong. And it's a huge network. It's a huge, huge network.
Oh, I'm glad you said that word, network. Now,
Mhm.
and you're not just networking with the students at Morehouse.
Right, right.
Uh-huh. Because you're bridging connections between students in the whole AU center. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, what does that feel like to you to be able to do that with students in other institutions near you?
hmm Similar. It's kind of like a sibling, like it's like a sibling type of relationship. I'm very, very glad that it's not necessarily just Morehouse, but that Spelman's also there and Clark and Landon is there because, like I said, it makes that network more expansive. And so, with my major, I'm always on Spelman's campus, and I've been able to really hear a lot about that type of experience and
Mhm.
their perspectives. And I have a lot of friends at Clark. So it just really opens up a huge network.
Mhm. Now, I remember, Jordan, this was my first experience teaching on a college campus in this capacity. And I remember my first day, you were already in the classroom.
Yes.
You were there before I got there.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what I'm gonna get into asking this question,
Yeah.
but I need an honest response.
Mhm.
What did you think when I walked into the room? What was going through your mind about what to expect in this class?
I think one of the first things that you did was you gave me a hug. And I myself, I'm a big hugger. You walked in with all this energy. I said, okay, we're about to get into some music. But I felt your energy and I felt like even though you just met me, you still saw something in me, you still cared for me. And so I felt that in that hug. And like I said, I'm a hugger myself. That's my
Mhm,
way of
mhm.
like showing I love you, I care for you. So yeah, I saw your energy and I was like, ooh, I'm excited.
And that often comes with HBCUs too, because
Yeah.
uh-huh, I went to one. If you can see my shirt, I'm gonna stand up a little bit. Uh-huh. I
Yeah.
went to one in the area
hmm
as well, and I experienced that same kind of love
hmm
from my instructors and the students around me, and there are bonds that will never be broken.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I still talk with many of my classmates that I had, those who were in my major to this day. And it's
Right.
been 30 or more years since I graduated from Morris Brown College. My daughter's at Clark, Atlanta. I'm just a HBCU lover. Can't help it.
Right.
Can't help it. And my goal coming in was to make sure that you all succeed
hmm
with excellence. Not coming in like the whip. That's that. And I hope I didn't do that, Jordan.
Yeah.
I wasn't coming in that way. My goal coming in was definitely to make sure that you all felt good about what you were doing
hmm
and that you were successful. Now, there were two, you're in the education department. So,
hmm
audience, he's a pre-service teacher.
hmm
And I came in calling you educators because that's what you
Yeah.
already are. You have it already in you.
hmm
However, you had a class that was specific to arts integration,
hmm
visual arts and music.
hmm
Tell me about both of those experiences because you had art first, and then I came in and did the music component.
Yes, so the class fine arts, it's like fine arts content and methods. It's like Dr. Thurman said, it's split up. The first half of the semester we did like visual arts and like trying to integrate art into like the different subjects. And then the second half of the semester we did music. I have not had a art class, or I didn't have an art class since elementary school.
Mhm.
And so that was the techniques and things that we were discussing was foreign to me. But obviously working with elementary students, art, like visual arts into the classroom, I feel like that type of integration, it was clearer to me. Now, I did have prior music experience. I was in, well, first in elementary school, I was in like our choir. And then all throughout middle school and high school, I was in the band. So music concepts were not unfamiliar to me, but I was still like, how am I going to integrate music with math or music? Like it wasn't as necessarily clear to me, but by the end of the semester, I saw ways in which I could integrate those subjects.
So, how important do you think it is to integrate the arts across the curriculum?
I think it is extremely, extremely important, especially even if we're just talking about the legacy of Black education, period. Um, today's public school education, or really just education in general, focuses a lot on skills. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily focus on the cultural and the social aspects of learning. Whereas when we talk about Black education and we look at the archive that is like the Black education legacy, we understand that when they were educating themselves, it wasn't just to gain skills, it was also to
Mhm.
liberate themselves,
Yeah.
to free themselves. And art is a crucial aspect of being able to liberate yourself because you have to be able to communicate how you are feeling kind of deep inside. And there are multiple mediums of art with which one can do that. Integrating art into the classroom allows students to find or to allow their soul, I guess, to be connected to what they're learning.
Mhm.
And it also offers for some students who are not necessarily into math or into ELA, like the just the skill aspect, when you add music, when you add visual arts to it, it might make that learning more accessible to them.
Yeah. And I told you all this too. When I came in, it was 10 students in this class.
Mhm.
Um, and when I came to observe you guys in the schools, I was so proud. Why? Because I myself am an integrationist. And I know the importance of bridging that gap between culture,
Mhm.
expression,
Mhm.
and standards that you have to teach in order to get our children to learn and to learn with joy. I'm going to say joy
Yeah,
because
Jordan.
that's where it comes from when they're able to learn in a relevant way that they understand and that is exciting and engaging. And so I was able to see the connection, and particularly in your class.
Mhm.
Jordan, can you explain a little bit about what you did when I came to observe your teaching?
Yes. So for one of my other classes, I had to also do a lesson. And what I did was I did like a Black folktale lesson, and they were focused specifically on the character Anansi and the character Brer Rabbit. And one of the things that I wanted them to do was to see the connections between these two characters, to see the connections across the African diaspora, and also for them to find Black language within stories and within education, like how their grandma speaks, how they speak, how their auntie speaks, how their mother speaks, and to find that educational value for that. So I taught that lesson. And then I think it was like the next two-ish days you had came in and I did a music lesson just to expand upon that. And so I had them create different rhythms. It was a rhythm lesson, create different rhythms to represent different aspects of the story or different characters that were within the story, just to build upon the knowledge that they had already gained from that previous lesson.
And I mean, I told you it took a lot for me not to even jump in because, if I'm coming in to observe, I'm not supposed to jump
Yeah.
into the lesson, but that's how good it was. And it gave me hope for the future because when we have teachers going in already knowing the power in arts integration,
Mhm.
then we're ahead of the game. When I came in as a new teacher, I didn't know anything about that. They didn't talk about that. That I don't know if people knew a lot about it. I had to discover it as I was teaching a way to get my children to learn. Because let's be real, our community is different. We're unique
Mhm.
in how we learn and what we need to learn and what we need to get past some other things that's going on in the community. And what was that thing I told you that was important that everybody's lesson had in it?
SEL?
SEL. Yeah. You got to make sure that our children are socially and emotionally well enough to learn.
Right.
And so when you're adding the music, the art, the movement, because we moved around, we had some movement too in class and setting the atmosphere. Jordan, can you tell the audience what I mean by setting the atmosphere or the environment for
Mhm.
learning?
So, whenever Dr. Thurman would come in, if we were talking about, let's say, like rhythm that day, we would do a certain exercise where we would have to like move, we would have to listen to the music. And if you look at the standards for music, those are like different aspects of standards, being able to listen, being able to move, being able to play. And so it just set the environment for what we were going to do that day, what we were going to learn that day. So we were already, before even having an official lecture on the material, already engaging with it.
Did you feel uncomfortable having to move? Because I kind of feel the room,
Mhm.
and I noticed some people kind of was like, "What is she doing? What are we going to be doing?" Did you feel uncomfortable at any moment when we would set the environment?
I would say for me, no. I enjoy dancing. I enjoy listening to music. And moving around. So to me, it wasn't uncomfortable.
But you do see how well your students, when I came to observe you, how
Hmm.
well they hooked on to what you were trying to give them.
Hmm.
And I did too. And I also noticed that by the end of your lesson, the students knew exactly the point of integration.
Hmm.
They may not verbalize it like we do,
Right.
but you could tell they understood, okay, now I'm connecting um, the language aspect to the musical aspect.
Right.
And so that is also why it's so important that there is collaboration between the regular classroom teacher and the music teacher
Hmm.
and the visual arts teacher.
Right.
Now, did you get a chance to, while you were in the building, did you get a chance to even talk with those different teachers, the music teacher and the visual arts teacher?
I had an opportunity to. I've sat in on some music lessons with my students. So I'm with fourth grade, and so the classes are departmentalized. So there
Mhm.
will be a class in ELA first, and then they'll switch over to science, and then class in science first, switch over to ELA. And so while one class has music, the other class will have visual arts. So I would go kind of back and forth. I spoke with the visual arts teacher, I spoke with the music teacher. I was also able to sit into like Spanish classes as well.
Mhm. Very good. So, Jordan, I just want to tell you how very proud I am. I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what is next for you. So, what are your aspirations, Jordan?
Mhm.
At you will be a senior
Yeah.
next year.
Hmm.
What are your aspirations for the future?
For the future, I know for certain I'll teach. I hope to teach in a predominantly Black area because I want to take the knowledge and the lessons that I've learned from both Morehouse and from Spelman and put it back into the community and really to the youth. I feel like I don't experience as much joy as I do when I'm working with children.
Mhm.
That just gives me so much light. I also would love to go to grad school as well. Maybe do something around literacy because literacy really is something that I'm passionate about. But really, yeah, it's just loving and nurturing all children. That's my ultimate goal. And
Mhm.
I'm already doing that now, and I have been doing that for a while. So it's not necessarily anything new. It's just continuing on and growing my ability and my capacity to do so.
Excellent. Now, Jordan, I always do this on the connecting point.
Mhm.
If there was a pondering point, something you want the audience to ponder on, what would that be?
I would say when you are working with children, specifically Black children, make sure that you are doing your best to honor their identities and you don't let respectability politics or anything like that get in the way from you being able to connect to who they really, really are. I
Mhm.
see often, and this is done even by Black educators, the silencing of some like language, like how they speak or how they move or how they tip, how they like to wear their hair. You have to make sure that you're honoring them and seeing them. If there's some aspect of their identity that is making you uncomfortable, you must then do your own work and your own due diligence of finding that out why that makes you uncomfortable yourself. So I would think, yeah, that's my big thing, making sure that you're honoring their identities, all of them.
I love that. And speaking of identity, what else did we talk about in class that was important about everybody is
Smart.
smart
Right.
and has a smart type. So, that's part of honoring identity.
Mhm.
Everybody doesn't have to be smart in the same place. I love it. Jordan,
Mhm.
in the event that somebody wants you to come in and talk to a group of young people or share your knowledge about HBCUs, arts integration, how can they contact you without using your phone number?
So without my phone number, typically my school email, emails typically were able to come through. So my email is all lowercase, Jordan dot Freeman at Morehouse dot edu. That's probably the best way to
Now
contact.
spell Jordan out so they can spell
Oh,
it correctly.
Jordan. And then of course Freeman, Freeman.
Jordan, thank you so much for coming to speak to the global audience today. I'm proud of you. I know you're going to do extremely well in the classroom.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to you teaching our children. Yes. An audience, like I say every week, if you would like to have a discussion with me on the connecting point, reach out to me at drmarcyts@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, Dr. Marcy's Connections, or reach out to us on Facebook at the Connecting Point for Creators group. It's just a platform for creators to connect, collaborate, network, and it's a source of inspiration daily. If that sounds like something you'd like to join, just send us a request to join and we'd love to have you. This show airs on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Wednesday nights you can get on KBCN TV. All I ask you to do is share so that others will be able to hear these inspiring conversations. Share, share, share. And until we get this moment again, peace and blessings. Bye bye. Thank you, Jordan.